A loss like the one in Charlotte forces a team to reconsider its assumptions about who it is at this stage of the season. A road game that should have reinforced control of the conference instead exposed weaknesses in execution, discipline, and situational awareness. The margin for earning the top seed in the NFC was already thin, and now it tightens further as Chicago and several contenders continue to press. The upcoming divisional game arrives at a moment when every mistake feels heavier and every possession becomes part of a larger test. That is the reality now facing this roster and staff. Matthew Stafford became the central figure in this shift. His turnovers altered field position, damaged momentum, and handed Carolina the kind of short fields that allow an underdog to stay confident. At this stage of his career, consistency is his currency, and it deserted him. 3 giveaways, including a pick-6, pushed him behind Drake May in the MVP race and brought new questions about how much burden this offense can place on a quarterback in his late 30s. The answer must come quickly with a critical road trip to Arizona ahead. The importance of Stafford's connection with primary targets like Puka Nacua and Davante Adams cannot be overstated. This passing game depends on precision timing, defined landmarks, and trust in contested windows. Against Carolina, those connections broke down. The offense became reactive instead of anticipatory. Routes that normally create clean throwing lanes tightened as the pass rush hurried decisions and disrupted footwork. Even with Kyren Williams running efficiently, the lack of commitment to the ground game shifted too much responsibility onto the quarterback. That imbalance made every mistake more damaging and every stalled drive more deflating. Defensively, the numbers were just as concerning. Allowing 164 rushing yards at more than 4 yards per carry erased the advantage this team usually holds on early downs. Without favorable down and distance situations, the pass rush rarely dictated the game. Bryce Young completed 15 of 20 attempts with 3 touchdowns, and the Rams produced only 2 sacks. That combination reflects a unit that failed to control leverage at the point of attack and struggled to match the physicality of receivers like Teteroya McMillan and Jalen Coker. When the front cannot finish plays, the back end becomes vulnerable, and that dynamic defined much of the afternoon. The betting markets still project a bounce-back performance, but the numbers show caution. FanDuel lists Stafford at 258.5 passing yards, with plus money for 3 or more touchdowns and plus money again for another interception. Oddsmakers expect aggression, but also recognize the recent volatility in decision-making. Nacua and Adams sit at minus 110 and minus 165 to score, signaling that the offense will continue running through its established hierarchy. Williams at plus 110 for an anytime touchdown reflects his steady but secondary role in the red zone. This distribution mirrors how the staff has approached game plans throughout the season, leaning on veteran pass catchers to shape tempo and identity. The larger question now is structural. This roster was assembled around a veteran quarterback, high-value receivers, and a pass rush intended to close games. That formula works only when the offense protects the football and plays with rhythm. The Carolina loss showed what happens when timing fades and turnovers mount. It also reminded the conference that this team, despite its talent, remains vulnerable to physical defenses and opponents willing to challenge the trenches. The Week 14 matchup in Arizona becomes more than a divisional game. It becomes a referendum on whether this group can stabilize itself before the playoff picture hardens. To stay in the race for the top seed, the response must be steady, disciplined, and efficient from the opening drive. Anything less invites another stumble, something this team no longer has room to absorb.